a deeply artistic person. I'm very good with my hands. I signed up for a life drawing class. I thought it meant drawing a bowl of bananas or something. Turned out they wanted us to draw real-life nude people. You can imagine my horror when they pulled the tarpaulin off and it was Auntie Bev. We all wondered where she'd got that extra cigarette money. And that cold. I said to the teacher, oh, Mr. Solomon, I can't go through with this. He said, Bob, he said, the naked body is God's gift. And I said, well, Bev should take hers back to the shop because I think it's faulty. There's nothing faulty about my next guest, and she's fully clothed. She's one of the best comedians in Australia. She wrote and performed hundreds of characters in Fast Forward and Big Girls Blouse. You all know her from the hit movie Babe and the Dog Woman telemovies. Who else could it be? Magda Szubanski! Gorgeous.
Oh, very well, thank you, darling.
You are looking fan-flippin-tastic.
Thanks, darling. So
see, whenever we get together, we just start talking like that.
It's great. And then we piss off somewhere and have a nice dry white wine.
And if we're really feeling luxurious, there might be a sparkling dry white wine.
Or even more special.
What?
A Riesling.
Oh. Do you know, everybody's drinking Rieslings again. I didn't even know it came in bottles. I really didn't know that.
It's not Riesling unless it comes in a carx. If you ask me, it has to come in a carx.
I've always found that when I go to the bottle shop, if you have to ask, they haven't got a carx. What have you got in your hand, Doc?
Don't ask if you haven't got a carx.
Oh. Well, what I'm asking now is that what have you got in your hand?
I have in my hand a very special present for your lovely self.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the most exquisite piece of memorabilia. And it's...
What part of the body's that?
You'll see it's covered in a bit of frilly undie, actually. Because this is, in fact, me in my days as an elite athlete.
Oh, well, of course.
On the front of Melbourne's Herald Sun playing tennis.
This is 1972, and that's Magda. Oh, and the concentration, Doll, with that tongue.
I know.
Did that help you get the backhander?
It did. It did every time. I still think a bit of tongue work. When you're feeling a little unsure of yourself, just poke it out.
I love this story. You, of course, appeared... For many years, you worked with Mark Downey, the wonderful Mark Downey, and this is around the time that you guys... Is that true you've known each other since you were that old?
We, at that very, very same tournament we met, which is the Schoolboys and Schoolgirls tournament, which was played at Kooyong, as it was known then, before it was the Melbourne Tennis Centre and Flinders Park and all those other crap names they call it now. It's always Kooyong to me.
Yeah. Even when it's not.
Even when it's no longer Kooyong. It's not at Kooyong, it's still Kooyong.
That's right.
And that's where I met Marg and we bonded. And then we never saw one another again for a long time.
So you didn't do any kind of shows or stuff like that at school? Were you one of those kids, were you one of those people that was always going to be a performer when you were at school?
No, I was going to be a brain surgeon.
Uh-huh.
But
you didn't grow tall enough. You would have had to get on a fruit box.
I would have, and I had no interest in the sciences as it transpired.
Mind you, after a couple of carks, who knows?
I've been known to crack a few skulls open after a couple of cards. Magda,
thank goodness we had all those years at Edinburgh to do the research into drinking.
I know, because you met some of my lovely family.
I did, because you're half Scottish, but there's another half, which is where the Szubanski comes from. They're Polish.
That's the Polish half.
Now, there's a connection there about how you decided you wanted to be indeed a performer.
I did, well, because I do come from the Polish side. It's the showbiz family, because, strange enough, I have a cousin who's not my doppelganger, she's older than me, and her name is Magda, which is the Polish way of saying Magda, whereas people... or as funnily enough, a lot of Australians prefer to call me Magna.
Magna, as in by our very good friends at Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Magna, that's
lovely.
Magna. So she's
Magda. She's Magna.
And she's famous. But then when did you get to meet her?
I got to meet her, well, I first got to meet her when I went there in 1982, which is not long after that, when I was only 11.
That's right. That's right.
And 'cause I'm only 29 now.
That's right. Yeah. What, again?
Again,
yeah,
continuously. And but then when I went in 1995, it was pretty bizarre going to do the promotion for the first Babe film, and they'd organised all these press conferences for me to do like, with my cousin. So
joint press conferences in Poland.
Magda and Magda, double act.
And what was that like? How was she about sharing the stage?
Oh, she's very gracious.
Because she saw you perform, didn't she?
She did.
In Melbourne.
I actually shouldn't undersell it because she and her husband are really quite famous in Poland, and he's like this extremely impressive, considered to be one of the greatest Shakespearean actors in Eastern Europe. And
it's like to be or not to be, isn't it?
It's all.
Surely you know me. I enjoy the tour.
Yeah, exactly. All of that. And they're kind of like the Laurence Olivier and Vivian Lee of Poland. You know, they're really highly regarded. And he was a senator, and when the Pope wanted his poems recorded, he got my cousin's husband Gustav to do the blah blah blah. Anyway, so they come to see this show at the Last Laugh.
The Last Laugh, which is a lovely theatre restaurant in Melbourne.
And or as we like to say, theatre restaurant.
This restaurant. It was beautiful, and it was very sort of well, it was. It had its day.
It had its day.
It had its day. And then by the time we were playing there, it was 40 panel beaters from Moe.
Yeah. And they generally thought they were funnier than we were.
Well, sometimes they didn't know the show had begun.
Yeah. So it's this bizarre kind of like, you know, where the meals are kind of like, you know, tinned carrot and all this sort of stuff. And there's my relative sitting there watching the show, and it got a little bit blue, the show, which is interesting. But Magda they speak, you know, they're so careful about the way they speak English, and she uses words with more syllables than I would. Like, you know, he's a little bit parsimonious. And so afterwards we come out of the thing, and I'm going, what did you think of the show? And she said, you know, I very much enjoyed your cabaret. It was a little bit risky, but I like that.
Oh, I love that. Now, Babe, what was that like actually making that film? It looks so incredibly technical. Was it sort of, were you actually with any animals?
Yes.
And what was that like? They say never work with kids and animals.
Well, well, I seem to have done fairly well out of it, made a living out of it, really. But no, I loved it. I love working with all the animals on set. People always ask you if funny things happen, and they rarely do. And unfortunately, the one really funny thing that happened, I wasn't actually there, but I did hear about it. Which was in the second film, when one of the primates, one of the chimpanzees, was getting a bit cheesed off, getting a bit bored.
What did he do?
Stuck his finger up the pig's bums.
I don't think we can top that.
No.
Magda Szubanski, everybody. We'll see you after the break. Conversation tip. Don't go away.